Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, and we have a very special guest with us today. Is Elisa Albert. She's an authoress, a novelist, and welcome to the Jewish View, Elisa.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Now, we're not going to talk about your books, maybe that's a different show, but you have a very interesting experience, and that's why I wanted to bring you on the Jewish View, because we're talking, you went to Israel, not knowing that there's going to be trouble there. So tell us, why did you go and visit Israel? I mean, you don't have to have a reason. Everybody could tour. It's a beautiful place. Go touring. But still, there was a special reason. So let's start with that.
Yeah, I went. A favorite auntie offered me the opportunity to go see the Codex Sassoon, the oldest known, most complete Hebrew Bible installed in the Anu Museum in Tel Aviv, the Museum of the Jewish People.
They has a special story about it, you know, that they found that, and maybe you know, how much did someone pay for it? I mean, it was on auction.
It was
millions. There's surely
36
millions.
million.
Yeah,
double
big
high.
36 million. So he says, all right, 36 million. You got a prized possession. You know, people who buy at auction all these memorabilia. So, but then in turn, he was very nice about it. I mean, incredible for giving that away. And then he says, well, I don't want to keep it for myself. I want to let everybody enjoy it and see it. So he gave it to Israel. So it's fairly new acquisition by the
and
museum. It's a newer story.
There were going to be these nice parties and ceremonies to install it in the museum, and my favorite auntie is on the board of that museum, and so she wasn't going to go. She lives in New York City. She said, "Why don't you go?" And
That's nice.
my mom and I, my mom who's on the cusp of 81. I first went to Israel with my mom when I was 8 years old in 1986 for the summer. We rented an apartment in Jerusalem of a friend, and spent a lot of time there. My mom did Ulpan, and I went to day camp and
In Israel. So.
in Jerusalem. And my mom always tells me, she said to me a few weeks into our stay, you know, how do you like it here? I didn't know from politics or history. I just knew that I loved it, and it felt in my bones like where I belonged. And I said, I love it here. Everybody looks like me. Everybody's just like me. This is where I belong. This is my home. I want to stay forever. Let's never leave.
I know people have. I mean, I have a cousin that went there for the summer, and her father had to come and pick her up. She says, I'm not leaving. And she says, what do you mean? You guys are still coming, you know, home. But, you know, so I know a good few stories that, just like you say, they love it and they live there. It's a difficult life in the sense that they always say your socioeconomic level went down a few notches. Here you have a beautiful home, and there you got a, little apartment. But
it's nice
it's
to
a
have
trade-off.
It's nice to have a beautiful home, but there's more important things.
Yeah.
I've always felt, every time I've spent time in Israel throughout my life, it's been very, very difficult to leave. Very, very heartrending, and I feel homesick.
Well, you know, I mean, again, from a rabbi using a little mystical ideas from Chassidus, I mean, it's just not a natural, unnatural thing. It's actually natural that a Jewish person does belong. It's the Holy Land. It's not just a place, oh, well, there's nice Jaffa oranges or whatever. It is a holy land. That means a lot, means a heck of a lot in spirituality. And you're a Jewish person with an neshama, with a soul, and it just gravitates to being something special, to be near Israel.
Yeah.
Well, you were there during the missiles now, so all of a sudden you had a nice, beautiful spiritual experience, and there was just the opposite extreme, if you want to say it like that, an incredible.
It was bizarre. So we had a week of peace, harmony, joy, friends, family, Sukkot. I was October 5th, Thursday. We were up in the north a little bit with friends and their Sukkah. I was in Jerusalem with friends on October 5th. I was wandering the old city at sunset. The wall, I've never seen it like that. It was packed with people. It was extraordinary, and I was just wandering, solo through the shuk and buying gifts for friends and just having a great time. And I went to a friend's sukkah that night in Jerusalem, and it was one of the most magical nights, and I was reveling in this just beauty and peace and harmony and friendship and belonging, and the contrast then to wake up Saturday morning to the sound of rocket fire.
You were in Jerusalem, then where were
I was
you
in Tel Aviv.
exactly? Tel Aviv.
I woke
so
up Saturday morning.
that's more the front than even Jerusalem.
Yeah, we were in our hotel, and you know what's strange is it was early in the morning and I was sleeping. I woke up, I looked out the window. Rocket fire is serious, but it's a regular enough fact of life in Israel that I went back to sleep.
Really?
I did. I went back to sleep. I had a very strange dream.
Well, you thought it was like firecrackers or something?
No, I knew
else,
it was
or-
rockets, but there were no sirens. So
Really?
it was a 6:30 in the morning or something. So I didn't feel compelled to go to a shelter. I said, oh geez, but I went back to sleep. Ridiculous, but and then about an hour later, woke up for real and after this very strange dream, and then slowly over the course of that Shabbat, the scale and the scope of the atrocities became clear. We spent most of that day in and out of the bomb shelter at the hotel. I was still so confused, and that we were at breakfast. I had my cappuccino. Another rocket barrage came, and the sirens went off, and the staff of the hotel were saying everybody away from the windows, everybody into the stairwell, and I was so addled that I grabbed my cappuccino because I thought I want to have my coffee. I was just not fully understanding.
They say that always happens, that if you're not geared up for it, which of course you weren't, or any person, it's like, why is this happening to me? Crime a lot of times,
Strange.
people like that. What do you want? You're robbing me? What?
Yeah.
You're taking, well, what's happening? It's just confusing because you're not used to such a scenario. I mean, I guess that's what they train people, and unfortunately in Israel and things like that, if you know that you're going to have this happen to you, but you're American, where does that happen? What
Didn't compute.
Yeah.
Didn't like the fact that this could happen. It took a while to sink in. The severity, the meaning, it was off-putting and confusing for most of that day.
Yeah. It is. Again, you read these Holocaust stories, and people have the same idea. All of a sudden, I'm living a normal life, and what do these people want from me? It's just like that's so bizarre, and like you're saying, and confusing to a normal person doesn't expect those kind of things.
Yeah.
But then they told it was over, or it was...
No, we were in and out of the bomb shelter most of that day. And then
this
into the
hotel had
evening.
its own bomb shelter?
Well, the
That's
basement, yeah, this, concrete. When you're in Israel, my understanding is that because of the Iron Dome, we're not as worried about an actual rocket hitting, but we are worried about shrapnel and debris from the rockets being blown up by the Iron Dome. So we were in and out all that afternoon, all that evening. I was still, it was like very strange, like this kind of gallows humor took effect pretty quickly, and I had brought a nice dress to wear to the big museum party later that didn't happen. It was canceled.
It was supposed to be Saturday night?
No, that was going to be on Monday night.
The next few days.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday. The president of Israel was going to come speak. It was going to be a big... So I had this nice, party dress, and this sort of gallows humor took effect Saturday night, and we were in and out of the bomb shelter. Lobby of the hotel, at the bar, having dinner, down to the bomb shelter, back up to dinner, back down to the bomb shelter. And I put on my nice party dress, and I was kind of joking with my mom, my indomitable, just incredible mom, who is not afraid of anything, truly just a remarkable person. And I was joking to her, like, there's this kind of, kitschy idea that you know, whatever outfit you're wearing when you die is your ghost outfit forever,
Right.
you know? So it was like, okay, I mean, I'm gonna put on my nice dress. We'll be in the bomb shelter. I'll have my nice dress on. I was
Well,
just,
it's incredible that you weren't scared, because there is a story that, not, well, you're not 9-year-old, but you're mature, but on the other hand, I mean, any person, I don't care what your age is, gonna be scared. And, you know, she literally flipped out and had a heart attack, this
I
9-year-old
know,
girl.
I know.
And, I mean, you know, you can only imagine, which in a way I can't, I mean, because I never was surely in that situation. But, you know, you're making light of it, and it's just saying other people, in a certain sense, flip out. I mean, they have psychological, you know, I always say that, you know, they say, well, the dead or this, you know, which of course is horrible. And all right, there's wounded. Yeah, the wounded people that don't have an arm, they don't have a leg, you know, they have a piece of metal knocked into them. It's horrible. And then, even then, well, other people were safe. Yeah, what's safe? Going through, you know, seeing a loved one die, or, you know, going through this traumatic experience. You know, they just fluff it off like, oh, well, all right, you know, everybody else wasn't hurt, but you are hurt, you know. But
It's very traumatic. It's been a very strange process. I think most of the heartbreak and the fear didn't hit me until I was back here. I think while I was still there, I was in a survival mode. And humor is a coping mechanism for me. And it was like, okay, like, I'll stay here, you know, I'll stay, I'll fight, I'll give blood, I'll do whatever needs to be done. I don't want to go home. I'm not afraid. Like, I will rise to this, whatever needs to happen. I was wandering the streets of Tel Aviv, which were deserted for a few days, and anyone I saw, I was talking to, hugging, you know, just wanting to be in Dizengoff Square, wanting to be present, wanting to bear witness. And it wasn't until I got back home that I was in a heap. I was just...
it's interesting again, but I mean, again, that was unusual because, you know, a lot of people say in Israel, I'm getting out of here. There's craziness, throwing rockets on my head over here, and sirens, and going to bomb shelters. Let me out of here. And there were people, of course, lined up, running out. And, you know, again, surely I don't blame anybody. I mean, again, but still, you're just, you know, it's not like, you know, usual. You're an unusual person, that you can bear that and go through that trauma. So that's an important idea for every person. Now, you really, I mean, again, I don't know how our listeners know about the geography of Israel, but it wasn't like, you know, sometimes there's a tornado or hurricane in Florida. It's, oy vey, you know, but you're 1,000 miles away.
Exactly.
You know, but here, you would say you're in Tel Aviv compared to the Gaza Strip. I mean, I don't have the exact mileage, but it isn't
an
nothing.
hour. I mean,
drive,
you know, within
you know.
2 hours, not far.
Yeah.
We were watching military planes fly down the coast and back up. We were hearing, by probably Monday, Tuesday, we were hearing explosions, reverberating, not from the Iron Dome, but you know, military action in the south. It was uncanny, and there was this strange stillness and quiet in Tel Aviv. Everything shut down. We were in Shuk HaCarmel a few days before the attack, and it was just you know, a party. And a day after the attack, I've never imagined it like that. Silent, just closed, shut, silent, abandoned. Not abandoned, but very strange.
Well, you know, it's interesting, again, for listening to that, it wasn't just only the Sabbath, it was a holiday time. And, I mean, you have that also when Egypt in the Yom Kippur War, that's how they call it, on Yom Kippur. And you say, well, people have their guard down, if you might. You know, hey, it's a party time of soldiers, you know, it's a holiday. And I don't know what happened in security and why there was a lapse and let these people, these terrorists in, but all right. But still, I mean, you have your lapse, you know, like you say, well, holiday leave. I mean, I'm not in the Israeli military, to say the least, but, you know, I mean, it's a trick, you know, like Yom Kippur. Oh, everybody's in the synagogue, and now we'll attack. Oh, everybody's at home on Saturday, and it's a holiday on top of everything. So let's now attack when everybody's kind of being joyous. Very Nazi effect. They used to take people away from the ghettos, specifically on the holidays or something like that.
You can speak to maybe what I've been reading about that I find very moving and strange and uncanny is the way that when we get to the end of the Torah scroll and the death of Moses and we have tohu vavohu and chaos and destruction and then we start again right when October 7th took place, right on the cusp of Simchat Torah, that then we have to create the world anew.
It's a very interesting thing. Let me just, you know what you're saying, but let me just explain and clarify a little bit more for our listeners that on this last day of Sukkot, which was Shemoneh Atzeres, really in America, Simchas Torah would be on Sunday. In any case, that everybody reads, every synagogue reads the scroll, 5 books of Moses, one portion every week. So, all right, 50, it takes a year. And so when do you begin, when do you end? It's on that day that you were saying, Shemoneh, is exactly when the attack happened. In America would be the Sunday, Simchas Torah. And that's what Lisa's saying, that what is happening at the end of the Torah scroll, Moses, before and not to get into all these details, but he says, listen, you're not going to go into the land of Israel, you're going to have to stay here on the, if you want to call it the east bank of the Jordan River and die there. And Joshua in the next book, you have to read the coming attractions, like I always say, the next book is the book of Joshua, when he does take the Jewish people across the Jordan River into Israel. But it ends up that Moses died, and that's how the 5 books of Moses ends. But again, in the Torah learning, Torah never ends. I mean, you read a book, all right, 1 time, I say 2 times, 3 times if you like. How many reruns do you, how many times you read the same book? Maybe you like it, all right, you read it again. But here the Torah, guys, of course everybody knows I'm 29 years old. But in any case, you've been learning it since a child. So how many times do you go through it? 10 times, 20 times, 40 times, the same old book. Well, you're not dealing with just a Harry Potter book, like I'm saying. You're dealing with the Torah, and the Torah is words of God, and God is infinite, and the Torah is infinite. In any case, just to continue the idea is just on simple as say, okay, we're done, let's have a party, which you do have a great party when you finish the Torah. Just, I always kind of say it's like a graduation party, so to speak. When you graduate, hey, well, what about your 3rd year? No, when you're finished, you make a party. So that's also a Torah idea. You make a party, but then instead, like I said, okay, we're done, put the book, the Chumash, the 5 books of Moses on the shelf. I read it, it's nice, I'll look into it in another 10 years. No, that the Torah idea is immediately the next minute you start again with, that's what Elisa was referring to, the creation. Now the creation is also a very interesting idea, that it starts with darkness and then goes with light. Vahir v'voker. Again, different than the secular say, when's the new day start? You say, well, midnight, that's when, you say it's a new day. Monday goes to Tuesday at midnight. And Torah doesn't work that way. It just, at sunset of the previous day starts the new day. A lot of people, that's why you have people don't understand, well, you can't do anything Sabbath on Saturday. Well, I can't do anything Friday night either. What's Friday night? It's not Saturday. But the Sabbath starts on Friday night. A lot of people don't get that right, so I wanted to bring that out. And in any case, it starts with the night, which is an interesting idea. That's what maybe you're alluding to, is that maybe you say, well, start the creation at dawn. But no, it starts at night. And then, like you were using Tohu Vavohu, that the world beforehand was a nice world afterwards, but it started with the words Tohu Vavohu, nothingness and void. Those are what the words mean. And therefore, it's an interesting concept that the world started with darkness. The other thing that we can say in a practical sense is that right now we are in exile. Well, if you're surely outside of Israel, you're in the diaspora to talk about. But really, even if you're in Israel, you see it's surely not utopia, not with bombs flying over your head. I mean, it's very nice, and we were talking at the beginning, it's very nice and spiritual to be in Israel, but don't call it utopia, especially when there's wars going on. And, in every society has problems. There is poverty there, too. you know, is surely not utopia, but before the darkness comes the light. So therefore, it's the way God set up the world. I don't know, you can get into the Kabbalistic idea also about it, but in any case, that's the way the world was created. So right before the light, the darkness has to come, and we're just hoping that this is the final darkness, the darkest darkness before the creation of a brand new world. We're coming with the Messiah, and we'll really have a utopia, and then there'll be real peace.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
It would be nice.
It's good. I just feel to go back to Israel maybe when the war's over, and even though I don't know, they're saying maybe months.
Yeah.
But just Lubavitcher always wants, and the Rebbe always felt that there were tragedies. I mean, unfortunately, this wasn't the first tragedy. There was terrorist attacks, not as bad as this, but every person is important. And and Israel gets stunned. I have an Israeli told me, he says, in Israel it's different. Here, like when he was talking about the Afghan war, 5,000 soldiers died and they were beating, and people go, okay. And he says, when one person dies, even a little incident, but one person dies, the whole Israel shook up. So they care about every single person. So you can only imagine here also when there's literally thousands, and hopefully it won't be more, but a war, a war is a war, and there's going to be more, God forbid, but got to be practical about it. They're all shook up. So the Rebbe always felt to give chizuk, which means strength. He sent people there. A lot of people say, "Oh, there's a war." Mm-hmm. I had even a few months ago before this, and I told a few people in our Chabad, let's make a trip to Israel. I don't want to go there. There's always fight. This is before this whole incident. There's fighting there. So the Rebbe always felt the opposite. How do these people feel? Oh, I don't want to go to your place. That's a dangerous place. So the Rebbe always sent people there, shluchim, to Israel right after any incident, because then people saying, hey, what are you guys doing here? Yeah, we're together. We're with you. Yeah. So sometimes, a lot of times, you get that at a personal level. When you sit shiv in Torah, it's not like you sit by yourself. Have your friends come over. You're not by yourself. We're with you.
That's right. I'm eager to go back as soon as possible.
Yeah, that idea to give them strength. We're here with you. You went through a big tragedy, even if it would stop today, but in any case, it may go on and linger on.
My friends and family, they're very scared, and they understand the severity of this. It's not a small thing. They're in it. They're in the war.
Yeah, again, a little bit people take it a little too casual because Israel always wins anyway, but if you just see the military, and I'm not a general to say the least, and I'm not a politician, I'm a rabbi, but it doesn't take too much to figure out. You got this small little country, and it's not just one enemy. You got Lebanon, a problem, you got inside West Bank, people are rioting here, and then on top of that, how does it feel? The whole, at least you have sympathy from people. Oh, you're the schmoes, you're the dogs for defending yourself, and it bears on you also. Again, like I say, if a person, something bad happens, you have sympathy, you have friends, you have relatives to stick with you, hey, we're with you, and then everybody says, you're the schmo, you're the problem. You say that we're the problem,
It's very painful.
And it's a small little, it doesn't take too much. Thank God they have a good military, and thank God is helping them, to say the very least. But on the very much other hand, it's just not a given, that anything could happen. Iran is screaming at them, and they're powerful. These are powerful countries that are coming after them, and it's no little thing to survive, against all your enemies.
I think of Israel as being like the bulwark, Israel's on the front lines, literally, but also psychologically and spiritually and emotionally for the West. The entities that threaten Israel right now are very threatening to Gentiles and secular Jews in the West as well. And that's a fact. We owe Israel a debt of gratitude for standing between us and total chaos and destruction. And you're right, the sort of the victim blaming and the, you deserved this and what do you expect, and is enraging. And but I always think of one of the epigraphs to one of my earlier books was from the Terminator 2, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's the Terminator. He says, in the Terminator, he's in this scene, he's trying to get this little boy angry. He's trying to rile him up so he'll have a will to live, because the kid is kind of in despair and saying, what's the point of anything, forget it. And he, the Terminator kind of riles him up, and it's like the kid's like, what the hey? And the Terminator says, anger is more useful than despair. So, if what it takes for us to, really stand up and be strong and not succumb to despair and hopelessness and depression is to be angry, then good, let's use that.
You say anger in a positive sense, and you are right. And a lot of Jewish people on campuses, even though there's troubles there also, a lot of Jews are just standing up. Hey, I want to do something for Israel, whether it's money, or it's even, well, of course, Lubavitch always puts mitzvahs, put tefillin on, let the women light Shabbos candles, do something to strengthen the Judaism around there, because, we don't want the enemies to pound on us in Israel or in the Western world, including United States here, and just showing your Judaism, standing up, like you say.
Yeah.
And just think, hey, I'm going to stand up for my Judaism.
And calling out, bullshit, if you'll pardon my French, and standing up publicly when people, I'm in the secular world, I'm in the academic world and the art world and the literature and publishing, and the court of public opinion is truly foul at this moment. So I feel like it's my job in part. I mean, I can't be there on the front lines. I'm too old to serve. I'm not O positive blood type. So, what can I do? I can stand up and I can try to help educate. And in that realm, anger is not as useful. My elders taught me that the Socratic method is more useful, because nobody likes to be told they're an idiot, shockingly. But I'm trying.
All right, excellent. We're out of time, Elisa, Dad. I want to thank you very much, because it's important. Again, I always say I could talk, about the issues also, but you were on the front lines right there, just a few miles away, and it's important to get a first-hand account. And I want to thank you for coming on the Jewish View and telling our viewers about what it means to be under a rocket attack. And thank God, people in America that see the show that just don't experience it. Thank God for that, but what it really means. And then we'll have to have you come back and talk about some of your books over here another time. But thank you very much.